History remembers many brave people, but few are as inspiring as Boudica, the warrior queen of the Iceni tribe. Her legacy has endured through the ages, capturing the imagination of historians, artists, and storytellers alike. Boudica's tale is not just one of personal bravery, but also of a collective struggle against oppression and tyranny. Her name reminds us of how strong and determined she was when she fought the mighty Roman Empire. Boudica's defiance against such a powerful adversary has made her a symbol of resistance and resilience. Her story is a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be subjugated. Boudica's story is full of courage, sadness, and the strength of people facing unfair treatment. The Iceni tribe, under her leadership, showcased an extraordinary will to fight for their freedom and dignity. Their struggle was not just a physical battle, but also a moral one, standing up against the injustices imposed by the Roman conquerors. It's a story that still matters today, showing us that even when things are very bad, hope can make people fight back. Boudica's rebellion is a powerful reminder that the human spirit can endure and rise against overwhelming odds. Her leadership and the unity of her people serve as an enduring example of how collective action can challenge even the most formidable of foes. Boudica's story doesn't start with victory, but with sadness. The initial peace and prosperity of the Iceni tribe were shattered by the greed and cruelty of the Roman Empire. This sorrowful beginning set the stage for a dramatic and fierce resistance that would echo through history. She was married to Prasutagus, the king of the Iceni. Their union was not just a personal bond, but also a political alliance that aimed to secure the future of their tribe. Prasutagus's leadership was marked by attempts to coexist with the Romans, a strategy that would ultimately prove to be fraught with peril. They lived in what we now call Norfolk, Suffolk, and Cambridgeshire in the east of England. This region, rich in natural beauty and resources, was home to the Iceni people, who thrived in their villages and maintained their cultural traditions despite the looming presence of the Roman Empire. At first, the Iceni, like many other tribes in Britain, tried to live peacefully with the Romans. They sought to maintain their autonomy while adapting to the new political landscape. This period of uneasy peace was marked by negotiations and treaties, as the Iceni navigated the complexities of Roman rule. They made an agreement with the Roman Empire, hoping to stay independent. This agreement was a delicate balance, a hope that the Romans would respect their sovereignty in exchange for cooperation. However, the Romans' insatiable appetite for control and resources would soon disrupt this fragile peace. But this peace didn't last. The Romans, driven by their imperial ambitions, began to impose harsher demands and stricter controls on the Iceni. The breaking of the treaty was not just a political act, but a betrayal that would ignite the flames of rebellion. When Prasutagus died, everything changed, and a big rebellion began. His death marked the end of an era and the beginning of a tumultuous period for the Iceni. The tribe, now under the leadership of Boudica, faced the full brunt of Roman aggression. The Romans acted quickly and cruelly after Prasutagus's death. They seized Iceni lands and imposed their rule with an iron fist. The brutality of their actions left the Iceni with no choice but to resist. They ignored his wishes to leave his kingdom to his two daughters and the Roman Emperor Nero. This blatant disregard for Prasutagus's will was a clear indication of the Romans' intentions to dominate and exploit the Iceni. Instead, they took the Iceni land and treated the tribe like they were conquered. The Romans were greedy. Their actions were driven by a desire to expand their empire and extract wealth from the subjugated tribes. They made the Iceni pay lots of taxes. These heavy taxes were a burden on the Iceni people, exacerbating their suffering and fueling their resentment towards the Roman occupiers. Boudica, a proud and dignified woman, watched as her people suffered. Her heart ached for her tribe, and she knew that something had to be done. Her resolve to fight back grew stronger with each passing day. Roman soldiers, thinking they were better than everyone else, were even crueler. Their arrogance and brutality knew no bounds, and they treated the Iceni with contempt and disdain. They whipped Boudica and did terrible things to her daughters. This act of cruelty was the final straw, igniting a fierce and unyielding desire for revenge in Boudica and her people. This cruelty made the Iceni people very angry and started a rebellion against the Romans. Under Boudica's leadership, the Iceni rose up, determined to reclaim their freedom and dignity. Their rebellion would become one of the most famous uprisings in history, a testament to the power of resistance and the enduring spirit of a people united in their fight for justice. To understand Boudica's rebellion, we need to know about her people and how they lived with the Romans. The story of the Iceni tribe is one of resilience, adaptation, and ultimately defiance. The Iceni were proud and independent people. They valued their freedom and had a strong sense of identity and community. They lived in East Anglia and were good farmers, craftspeople, and warriors. Their skills in agriculture and craftsmanship were well known, and they thrived in their homeland. They were famous for their horses and fighting skills. The Iceni warriors were formidable, and their cavalry was particularly renowned. Unlike other tribes who fought the Romans right away, the Iceni tried a different way. They sought to coexist and find a balance between their traditions and the new Roman rule. Their king, Prasutagus, was smart and practical. He understood the might of the Roman Empire and knew that outright rebellion could lead to devastating consequences. He knew fighting the Romans would be very dangerous. The Roman legions were powerful and well organized, making them a formidable enemy. So the Iceni made an alliance with Rome, becoming a client kingdom. This alliance allowed them to maintain a degree of autonomy while acknowledging Roman supremacy. This meant they could mostly rule themselves, but still had to answer to Rome. The arrangement was a compromise, but it allowed the Iceni to preserve their way of life to some extent. But this wasn't a good situation. The presence of Roman officials and the imposition of Roman laws created tension and resentment among the Iceni. The Iceni never really liked being ruled by Rome. Their independent spirit clashed with the Roman way of governance, leading to growing discontent. They wanted to be free again. The desire for independence and self-determination was strong among the Iceni people. They didn't like the Roman taxes and how Roman officials controlled their lives. The heavy taxation and interference in their daily affairs were sources of constant frustration. This anger grew stronger, like a fire waiting to explode. The simmering resentment and desire for freedom would eventually lead to a dramatic and violent uprising. The year 60 AD was a pivotal moment in the history of Roman Britain. It marked a turning point that would ignite a fierce rebellion. This was the year the Iceni tribe, under the leadership of the formidable Queen Boudica, rose up against their Roman oppressors. The catalyst for this uprising was the death of Prasutagus, the Iceni king who had maintained a fragile peace with the Romans. His passing left a power vacuum that would soon be exploited. In an attempt to safeguard his kingdom and family, Prasutagus declared in his will that his lands should be divided between his daughters and the Roman Emperor Nero. He believed this arrangement would ensure their protection and maintain peace. However, this decision would prove to be a grave miscalculation. According to Roman law, women were not permitted to inherit kingdoms. Seizing this opportunity, Roman officials in Britain saw a chance to annex the Iceni territory for themselves. The Romans then committed numerous atrocities, inciting the anger and resentment of the Iceni people. The Roman governor Decimus Junius Brutus Albinus swiftly moved to assert control over the Iceni, further exacerbating tensions. Roman soldiers confiscated Iceni land and livestock, stripping the tribe of their resources and livelihood. The proud and independent Iceni were reduced to a state of servitude, treated as little more than slaves by their Roman conquerors. In a particularly brutal act, the Romans publicly whipped Boudica, a punishment typically reserved for criminals, humiliating her in front of her people. Even more heinous, Roman soldiers assaulted Boudica's daughters, an act of violence that would not go unanswered. News of these atrocities spread like wildfire among the Iceni and neighboring tribes, fueling a collective fury that would soon erupt into a full-scale rebellion. After the Romans took over, Boudica changed from a sad widow to a strong leader. The Romans hurt her and her daughters, and she wanted revenge. She wanted to protect her people and their land, and she wanted the Romans to pay for their cruelty. Boudica was a good speaker, and she travelled around, encouraging her people to fight. She talked about the unfair things the Romans had done, their greed and the courage the Iceni people had inside. She reminded them of when they were free. The Iceni agreed with her. They had suffered enough. They saw their king's wishes ignored, their queen whipped, and their daughters hurt. It was time to fight back, even if it meant dying. News of the Iceni rebellion spread to other tribes who also disliked the Romans. Boudica led the Iceni, the Trinovantes, and other tribes against the Romans. First, they attacked Camulodunum, the old Trinovantian capital, a symbol of Roman power. The city wasn't well defended and was quickly taken. Many Romans were killed. The temple of Claudius, a symbol of Roman religion, was destroyed. The streets were filled with blood. Next, Boudica attacked Londinium, an important Roman city. The Romans knew she was coming, but they weren't ready. Londinium was attacked, its people killed or forced to leave, and its buildings burned. The fire could be seen from far away. Verulamium, another Roman town, was also attacked and burned. The Roman soldiers there couldn't stop Boudica's warriors. The Battle of Watling Street was very important. Boudica's army fought the powerful Roman army. The Britons fought bravely, but the Romans were better organized and had better weapons. This battle changed everything for Boudica and Britain. No one knows exactly how Boudica died. Some say she killed herself to avoid being captured. Others say she died from being sick. But everyone remembers her bravery and how she inspired many people after her. Boudica is remembered for her strength and courage. She is a symbol of fighting against oppression. Her story has been told for many years, showing how powerful her fight for freedom and justice was. Boudica is remembered as a warrior queen who fought the Roman Empire. Her rebellion is a famous part of history. She reminds us to be brave and stand up to bullies. Boudica is an important part of history, and her story is still inspiring today.